following show is a paid program.
Hey family, how you doing today? I'm so excited. Today I have two of the best in the building. I have professional wrestler Stevie Ray and retired football player and author Ryan Yarborough. Hi buddies, how you doing?
Good.
Right,
Man, I'm excited. I really couldn't sleep. I'm being honest. I just could not sleep. Two of my buddies are here. We were talking about the fact of sports, just how it's different, how it's changed and everything, coming from what we started and then COVID.
Yeah.
Just this COVID situation. And then the numbers are flying up and things like that. Mr. Stevie Ray, how'd you get started in the business of wrestling?
Kind of like tripped into it, you know. kind of like, you know, I've always been a big fan of professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, in school, I played all sports, basketball, football, ran track. Some of my contemporaries in high school that I played against and played with, Dexter Manley, Darryl Green, those type of guys, Michael Singletary, those type of guys. And I always wanted to be a football player also, you know. But things didn't work out that way, man. And I started bodybuilding, you know, in my early 20s. You know, I've been kind of like working out since I was like 15, but I really got serious when I was like, when I dropped out of school, dropped out of college, just to stay in shape, thinking one day you might get that shot, you know, or go back to school, whatever. Never did. So I just started working out every day, and next thing I know, I'm 200 pounds one day, and a couple of years went by, and now I'm 235 pounds. I didn't even realize it. And, you know, then I started to compete, actually, in bodybuilding.
Wow.
After a few years. Never very successful at it because I wasn't willing to do all the things you need to do to be good in bodybuilding. But that's a whole nother show. But anyway, guy that used to train at the gym, same gym I trained at, he was an ex-professional wrestler. And he was like, hey, man, I'm opening up a school. And if you ever want to think about being a professional wrestler, and I told my brother about it, I said, hey, man, this cat opening up a school. Maybe we should try it out. You know, just for the heck of it. You know, it wasn't like, oh, I got a dream to be this, you know, great, you know, professional wrestler. And that's how it all started.
Wow. Wow. And your brother, Booker T?
Same. That's what I'm saying. I told my brother, let's go. We was like, oh, okay, we ain't got nothing else better to do today. Let's go try out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then one thing just led to another, man. And all these years later, you know, I was given this last year. Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So it must have worked out. You know what I'm saying?
It wasn't that you were given, trust that.
But you know how a lot of people have a dream to be this, that, and the other.
Absolutely.
No, I never had. But once I got into it, now it's like, okay, I'm going to try to be the best I can possibly be.
Right.
Because, you know, I watch these guys on television that were my heroes, you know, big fans of them. And me and my brother would look at each other and go, you know, better than us.
Right.
You know, look at, man, we'll make them dudes look like they're going in circles, you know. So that's how the competitive edge with us started to happen. Because every time we got in the ring, and not only that, we never had any desire to be a tag team.
Wow.
Somebody made us a tag team.
Right.
Because I was going for a tryout in Dallas, Texas, at the old Sportatorium. And I told my brother, man, I think you ought to come go with me.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to drive down to Dallas by myself, actually. You know, I just wanted to, he was like, all right. And we went down there. A dude named Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert was the booker on the Global Wrestling Show. It came on ESPN every day. And I went in because in those days my character was the Super Collider. And we walk into Eddie Gilbert's office, and my brother walks in with me. I keep pointing at wine.
Exactly,
You know,
right. Look, they all thinking you Booker T.
I'm his brother on the show. That's a prop.
You know, but that's how it was. I was this way, you know, like
Right.
Eddie's here, I'm here, my brother's here. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like
Right.
It's kind of like bringing back memories, man. And Eddie goes, "Who's that?" I go, "Who? Him?" I go, "Oh, him? Oh, that's my brother." And he's looking at him. He's seen my brother, a pretty big guy, and he's like, "Does he work? Nobody told me you had a brother." And that's the word that we always use in the business, work. We never used the word wrestle.
Right.
Wrestling is something for the fans and all that stuff.
Right.
And I go, "Yeah, he works." He go, "Well, how long has he been working?" And when we started together.
Right.
Then Eddie sit back down in his chair, like you sitting there, and go, "You guys just gave me an idea. Y'all come back next week and I talk to you." And I'm like, "Wow, I came all the way down here to talk to the man and he tell me to come back next week." So we come back the next week after they do all their live TV taping. We go back in the office again. He said, "Man, I'm looking for a tag team. Do you guys think?" He said, "I'm looking for a babyface tag team." That means you, crowd favorites. That's very well-dressed and well-spoken. Do you guys think y'all can do that? He said, "First of all, have y'all ever tagged together before?" And me and my brother was like, "Yeah, many times." We were lying. We never, ever tagged together ever before.
Right.
Never. Now, people think we came to business tagging. No, he was doing his thing, I was doing my thing. And sometimes we'd be on shows together. Sometimes he'd be on shows over here. We was like, "Yeah, man, yeah, we tagged together many times." But officially, we had tagged against each other. So in essence, I don't think we were lying. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't real specific about the question. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He never said, "Have y'all tagged on the same team?" He just had y'all tagged together. So I was going against him. You know what I'm saying? on a couple of shows.
Right.
So we came back down to get our tryout match the week after, and the rest is history.
There you go, Mr. Ryan Yarborough. He is a retired football player. This is not Booker T. How did you get started?
Well, my story is pretty similar to Stevie, my own TV brother. Okay?
Yeah.
And I played all sports growing up.
Right.
Football, basketball, and baseball. And the one thing that I always wanted to do was to be like my dad and like my uncle, okay? And they both played football, okay, in college.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna continue to play my baseball and my basketball, but football was the sport that I felt was gonna take me the furthest.
Wow.
Okay, so I only played 1 year of high school football, okay? I played all my years in basketball and 3 years of baseball. So when the scouts started coming out and started looking at me, I was like, yeah, I'm ready, because the only year that I played was my senior year. I had broke my shoulder my junior year. So I had a couple of guys that were on the team that were, top in the Midwest. I'm originally from Chicago. So they were coming out to look at those guys, and they were like, "Who is that guy right there?" And I was kind of like a hidden gem because I wasn't on the field the years before. And it was like, okay, how about his grades? I was an honor roll student, and that's something that kids or guys that are coming up need to understand too. You have to have a certain GPA or grade point average as well, because a lot of guys miss out on scholarships. Some guys that I played with missed out on scholarships for the simple fact they didn't want to go to school and handle their book work, okay? So I'm the oldest of 7 also. So I wanted to get out of the house, okay? So I was getting recruited, University of Illinois, Louisville, Purdue, a lot of Big Ten schools around me, but I chose to go to Wyoming because, once again, like I said, the house was getting more and more crowded. I want to get as far away as possible.
Right.
And it always, where I went to school, the University of Wyoming, they had an offense that was conducive to my skill set, which is receiver. I played wide receiver.
Wow.
And they passed the ball a lot, okay? But they also had a pipeline to Chicago. because there was some guys already on the team, and which I already had knew history-wise from my dad and my uncle. They grew up they graduated high school in the late 60s, was a group called the Black 14. And they very political group, and they stood together, and that was something that I was always into, for the simple fact of I was 16 hours away from home. I needed to be unified with some other guys that were from Chicago, or from other urban areas, because I was out there by myself, in the wild, wild west. So that's what led me to Wyoming. Then my first couple of years, I was doing pretty good on the field. And then one of the seniors had went down and had got hurt, and that kind of put all the light on me towards the end of my sophomore year. And then I started realizing, okay, I need to buckle down and get a few things in order for me to go to the next level, which was the NFL. Okay, and after that, history takes care of itself. I got drafted. And I got drafted by the New York Jets, and I love New York, the city, to say the least. Okay, so that's pretty much my backstory getting to the NFL right there.
Wow. I heard both of you all and what you said many times, and I love what you did in the fact that you kept going. You kept going.
Absolutely.
So many times we stop.
Yes.
Either a family member or something happens to tell us to stop. But I heard in both of your stories that you kept going.
Yeah.
No matter what. I heard you say, hey, you're the oldest of 7. You're like, hey, I've got to go. I want to go the furthest I can. Yeah. But you studied in the fact that you had your grades. You knew exactly where you were going. And you also listened to older, your dad and stuff, of which place you should go. I heard you saying, hey, you know what? Me and my brother, we're here together, Let's just think about what that is and to bring him. Because you could have driven yourself, really. But, I mean, just to bring him on that day,
That's how things work sometimes.
That is. And then, but in telling family members and stuff like that, just people, just keep going. Because right now, 40 million people unemployed. And we were talking about that a little earlier.
Yes.
They have dreams. But during that time, of course, what do? We work, and we say, oh, well, we still have to work, but we have this dream, so we don't have time to do it. Now this has positioned us for time to sit back and think, what do we really want to do? And just jump and do it. Because this is the time. It's no longer the financial piece. That's what we always say. But we can't do it because we've got to go to this job. And financially, we're not in the situation to do it. Well, right now, you're unemployed.
Right.
Took that piece out of that.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, Ryan, what would you say to that?
Now, when it comes to that, it comes to
just the dreamers.
Yeah, when it comes to the dreamers.
Yeah.
Okay. What I've learned over the years is there is no right time.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever you put your mind to. Okay, and that's what we'll talk about, I'm sure, about my book as well, is whatever you put your mind to, and when you put your mind to something, things come to you.
Yeah.
People try to use it as, say, it's a phenomenon or a coincidence or things of that nature, but I personally feel as if, it's just aligning with the universe, okay, and things are coming to you, like people say, coming out of the blue, or this never happened. No, it's because that's where your mind was at, and you were focused on doing what you wanted to do or what you dreamed to do. For the simple fact, you can be working for 50 years and be saying the same thing.
Exactly.
Okay, and being mad internally at somebody else that's pursuing their dreams.
Exactly.
Okay, but not knowing that this person that pursued their dreams are going through other things as well. Okay, psychologically, financially, and things of that nature. But they're so focused that that's what they want to do, and and then it comes to you afterwards.
Absolutely. And Stevie Ray, just jump right in here with you being in wrestling. A lot of parents have asked this question. I think we talked about this with parents. Parents now with COVID situation, okay? But the children are in their specific, either in wrestling or football or whatever, but COVID has shut down a lot of things.
Yes.
But to position the children now, what, we had talked about, not really what should they do because you didn't come out of school doing it, but in just the thought process of telling them to keep going.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of things boils down to parenting. But the parents always also have to strategize a way to get past what we all are going through at the same time. And you don't want to put your kids in harm's way. So in certain situations, depend on geographically what part of the country you're in. Every part of the country is different.
Yeah.
Some parts of the country right now are a little bit more lax than others. You look at California right now, it's almost to the point where the LA Rams had to move to, was it Arizona?
Yes.
You know, so, but then you got things here in Texas, depending on what part of Texas you're in, things are a little bit more lax. So when you're talking about kids and sports, I think if everybody's just taking precaution, like whatever the mandate is in your area, depending on what has been levied, you know, structural wise, you can just do that and try to keep it going. So when things do lift up, you're in position to do what you had already planned on doing. So what that entails to me is just like parents got to do their due diligence to keep things, and people in those communities also. Because this ain't the beginning of the world, and this is not the end of the world. And I think people have to keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
This ain't the end.
It's not
You know, we still got a lot of living to do. Okay, we took a detour, but we still got a lot of living to do. It's never over until it's over. And I don't see it being over no time soon.
Absolutely. Another thing that I love about you, you have a podcast that you do. Why so?
I have a couple of them.
Why so? Why podcast?
Well, actually, Cam, when I came out of school, I wanted to do what you were doing right now. A lot of people don't know that, you know. So, but then I used to DJ in clubs and all that. That's why I met your buddy. A million. That's why I met him in clubs years ago. But I used to DJ and stuff like that. But then, man, I started bodybuilding, like I told you, and it kind of consumed my life. It just kind of consumed my life, and then I started doing bodyguard work and security stuff and this, that, and the other. And then I thought that was my future. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you a story. Right before, me and another buddy of mine who also became a professional wrestler, we had just started a company together, a security bodyguard company. And we were doing well. And this is before wrestling took off for me. So really and truly, I, you know, as far as material things, I already owned a BMW, my hot rod Z28, and a custom motorcycle before I ever got in the wrestling business. Not saying I was rich or nothing like that, but I was doing well. And a guy that I used to work for had just offered me a deal to come work with him. He had just got a government contract with all the federal buildings in the Houston, Texas area. He said, I want to bring you in. You're always good. I want to bring you in and make you the head of this and blah, 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 and I'm going to pay you this much money a year. A lot of money at that time. And you know what I told him? Because of that dream that was in my head, me and my brother's head. This guy. I said, no, I can't take it. He said, why not? I said, man, I'm doing this wrestling thing now, man. And I just got a feeling it's going to take off for me. That's the last time me and this guy ever talked. His name was George. And I don't know what he's doing now. It's the last time I ever talked to him. And what if I had took that deal? Because it was, that was a guaranteed deal.
He
kind
already got the contract.
Kind of like Ryan's old NFL contract. A portion of it is guaranteed. You know, the signing bonus and all that. You know. And I didn't do it because I had that dream, man.
You have that dream.
And I couldn't. Once I got that bug, say, hey, I want to be the best I can be at this. Nothing else mattered. But me and my partner were doing good. You know, the Arena Theater right down the road from here. Do you know that was our contract for 3.5 years? That building where they did all the concerts and stuff. Yeah, that was ours. All the police officers and stuff that worked for us. And that's the kind of stuff we was doing. Celebrities and all that. That's why the celebrity thing never really dawned on me as something I really had time to do. I mean, couldn't deal with because I was around them a lot when I used to bodyguard them from the Arena Theater. So, you know what I'm saying? It didn't, so you become in front of the red light, and it's like, okay, I'm not going to go this lifestyle because I've seen other people that do it.
Right.
But, you know, a lot of other people get consumed by,
Yeah.
you know, that what we call red light lifestyle, you know what I'm saying, in front of the people trying to be this, that, and the other. So I can just look back on that and go, that dream and that focus, you know, if it didn't work out, okay, whatever. But I already had a good thing going on. And that's what I'm saying. I put myself in a position where people were always looking for what I did good. And what I did good was what I did. When you want somebody bodyguarded, I was the guy. Me and my partner, we were the guy. And we took pride in that. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
We'll be right back on the Cam Hill Show.
We'll be right back to the Cam Hill Show after these messages.
During the season's best sales event, Ron Carter Cadillac delivers 0% APR for 72 months plus $2,500 bonus cash on all 2020 XT4, XT5, and XT6. Or drive 2020 XT4 Luxury Collection only $299 a month. 2020 XT5 Premium Luxury Collection just $369 a month. And first ever 2020 XT6 Premium Luxury Collection just $399 a month. All for 39-month lease with just $1 down.
RonCarterCadillac.com.
I'm attorney Willie Powles. Allow me to express myself with you. If you've been hurt or injured in a car or truck accident, give me a call and we'll get it fixed today.
When it comes to protecting yourself and your partners, all the information out there can be overwhelming. Visit our website. We are a free and confidential service striving to help you stay informed and stay notified. We are committed to a healthy Houston.
Have you been injured in an 18-wheeler accident, truck accident, car accident? Was someone texting and ran into the back of you, not paying attention? It doesn't matter what it is. Give me a call, attorney Willie Powles. We'll fix it today. The number is 281-881-2457. Again, that number is 281-881-2457. We'll fix it today. Call attorney Willie Powles.
And now back to the Cam Hill Show.
Hey family, we are right back with Stevie Ray and Ryan Yarborough. Ryan, let's jump right in. We were going to talk about your book. Let's hold your book up and let's talk about that. You're an author.
Yeah, that's what they tell me.
That's what they tell you. Why? How did we get started with the book?
Well, how I first got started with this book was initially my publicist, Pauline, she told me to sit down and write down some things, you know, that's on your mind, you know, because I said, I really don't want to do an autobiography initially because it's not just all about me. What I wanted to do was I wanted to get out something positive to the people, okay, regardless of what age you are.
Right.
Reading age, adult, grandparent, great-grandparent, whatever the case may be. So I wanted to make it an easy, positive read, and it's all about the mindset, you know, believe so you can achieve is the name of the book. And it helps you get to the next level, you know, from healing within, you know, so you can take action without. And what I've been doing, I've been getting a lot of good traction, okay? Yeah. And I want to thank Ms. Scott from Safe Diversity, okay? Safe Diversity Communities for contacting me so I can contact you. But no, to get back to the book, it's a wonderful thing because this has helped me get to the highest level of my profession in sports, okay? And there's still some principles that I still use throughout my daily life because, as Stevie was saying earlier, you know, it don't stop, you know, until we stop.
Right. Absolutely. I love that. Love that. But being an author,
Oh,
So now retired.
yes.
When did you decide to retire?
Well, in my profession, in my former profession,
Right.
okay, the NFL,
Right.
the acronym is not for long. A lot of people don't know that, okay? And sometimes you don't get a chance to
Yeah.
choose to retire.
Right.
Okay, what they'll do is they'll bring in somebody that's a few years younger than you, but is making half as much as you are.
Right.
You know, so if you wasn't doing what they wanted you to do at that particular time, then it's on to the next.
Right.
So with me, in my particular situation, I played my contract out, and that was it for me. So
Right.
I had to transition, you know, into other things, and I was prepared for it. It wasn't like all I knew how to do was play football or
Right.
anything like that. But that's what happened with me, Cam.
Yeah. Let's talk about, and this has been asked, especially for football,
Yes.
and Stevie mentioned it, the guarantee.
Okay.
What part of it? So is the signing part guaranteed?
I'll break that down for you. He was being facetious, okay, especially back in the '90s.
Yeah.
You know, when I was playing. Your signing bonus is quote unquote supposed to be guaranteed, as long as you act like a civilized person,
Right, okay.
and things of that
Right.
nature. But now the contracts are different, okay,
Right.
because football is the only sport that does not have a guaranteed contract, and
Okay.
people think that it should be the opposite.
Opposite,
you know,
right.
like we're the most physical, not necessarily just physical all the time, but the most contact sport, okay,
Right.
constant contact sport. And nowadays the contracts are a little different,
Right.
okay. It's not just the signing bonus, okay, but you know there are other guarantees throughout the contract that
Okay.
were a little different than
Right.
when I played.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And and the reason I bring that up is because a lot of parents, when people are recruited, a lot of people go to the parents, and unfortunately, many of the parents are not represented. They come immediately and they just rush them. You know, grandparents, you know, many of the grandparents, because a lot of, especially in our community, a lot of grandparents are raising the children, you know, raising their grandchildren, you know, and unfortunately they come at the time and maybe they, you know, throw them some money or something like that, not really understanding what the contract really means. And then unfortunately, the children are playing and they didn't get everything monetized that they needed.
Yeah, and fortunately for me, my father was my financial advisor.
Right.
Okay, so I couldn't make a lot of frivolous
Right.
purchases and things of that. I could, it was my money, but I didn't feel like, you know,
Right.
having to go through this loop, go through that loop.
Right.
So it was no big deal for me when it came to the exchanges and things of that nature. But as far as seeing some other guys that were in the locker room and that I played with, some of those guys, as soon as they got their check, they'll be sending it straight home.
Right.
And I'm like, I love my family, but
Yeah.
my family's not out here going through what we go through.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So they need, you know, I couldn't tell them what to do, obviously. But when it comes to that particular point, for anybody that's watching or have kids or guys that are, or even young ladies that are going into the professional ranks,
Right.
they should understand that initially you don't think that you hit the jackpot.
Right. And I
Okay.
think a lot of people do, even in probably wrestling the same way.
Well, I
all
don't-
of them, you know, all sports.
To
Absolutely.
be honest, I really don't think we can chronicle it as a sport thing, but I think it's a society thing as it comes to the African American
Right.
community.
For our community.
Because certain things, when it comes to financial type situations, like Ryan was in a good position because he had his dad and his uncle that had already
Right.
been through the fire before.
Right.
And that could pass that wisdom down to him as to this is how you handle certain things when you get to a certain level. Well, most people in our communities, we don't know anything about that. Most people in our communities probably don't even teach a lot of kids, and a lot of times how to even write a check or even have a
Exactly.
checkbook. So
Yeah.
when you're talking about financial situations, you see a lot of other people from other communities, they might come from affluency. They might come from upper middle class.
Right.
So, you know, having businesses, having check accounts, bank accounts, and how to deal with things from a financial standpoint, those things are talked to relatively all the time in the house. So it's not out of the ordinary to see somebody that just finished college to go out and how he gets a loan from a bank to start a business.
Right.
Because it's been instilled in him.
Right.
Now, from our communities, that not so much.
Right.
So, you know, you have the mindset of just working for someone and having something. And then on top of that, like Ryan was just talking about before, the material things.
Right.
Only thing that's been, you know, engraved in your mind is material things.
Right.
So that's the first thing you want to go out and get. So our communities are different when it comes to those type of situations. And if you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
And you set up to fail. And I think the NFL knows that. And I think, Ryan, you can speak on this more than I can, how they take these certain finance companies that work with the NFL, and they take these guys and apply them to you, this, that, and the other. And they're paying these guys millions of dollars. But then at the end of the day, if these guys are making sure you don't keep most of your money, most of that money is going through a cycle and it ends up back exactly where it came from. But, you know, you don't hear people talking about that,
Right.
you know,
Right.
on the sports shows or on the financial shows and this, that, and the other, and went through that. But they can easily show a show about how much, you know, this guy had this much money, now he don't got it anymore.
Right.
You know, but they don't put
Absolutely.
the other little things in there as to what part did you play in it that he doesn't have all this money.
Exactly.
So that's
Exactly.
just
Exactly.
my viewpoint on a lot of things when it comes to basketball, football, and other sports where, you know, African Americans make a lot of money.
Entertainment
just me.
business.
Yeah.
Entertainment business, you're right.
We ain't even got into singing, dancing, and
Right.
rapping and all that stuff. We ain't got into that. At the end of the day, if we're not controlling what we do and how we do it, as far as if you ask me, somebody asked me about reparations. Somebody asked me about reparations on my podcast one day. You know what I said? Give us all the money back that we'd have made for you in entertainment. That'll be enough right there that you stole.
Yeah.
So don't get me started. I ain't the one.
Yeah. So in talking about that, last year, 2019, we spent 1.9 trillion, just us as a people.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And in doing so, we don't talk about the financial part. And even like you said, even in sports, and you've seen it in sports.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure.
And once again, as Steve, you know, as he touched on,
Right.
I was raised that particular way.
Right.
I still remember to this day. I'll be 50 in April, but I can remember 40 some plus years back.
Right.
And I get an $8 check for 2 weeks of work from my dad.
Yeah.
But I'm really only getting 4. Because he
Right.
putting half of it in the bank.
Right.
And I will be upset. But as I've seen my bank account grow,
Right.
I appreciated that too. And he instilled certain principles
Yeah.
into my head once again, because we are third generation. Yarborough was third generation. It was taken on, you know, so we didn't have a whole lot of history to our name. And my father seen in the community, you know, as Stevie was touching on too,
Right.
in our community, how our people
Yeah.
are behind because of our financial literacy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
It
that's where it
definitely is.
starts at.
It definitely is. It definitely is. Even though, and like I was saying, how much money we spend as a community, and we're not from census. We're 45 million people from the census out of 330 million. Well, we know that's wrong.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But they're stating that we're out of the census. You know, based on about 10 years ago. Now we just did another census, but before that, that's what they were basing it
Yeah,
on.
I think it was 44, 45 million.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. And if us in the country, you got to realize 44 million people, that's the country.
Yes.
It is.
In essence, we are a country within a country.
Right.
Yes.
But within this country, we own 1% of it.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
that is. I agree with that.
So the only thing we know from the time of Reconstruction, how many people had their own land that was
Yeah.
taken from them?
Right.
How many people had their own businesses that was broken down from them? How many people, you know, when you get on Wall Street, like the Black Wall Street in Oklahoma, that was torn down?
Right.
Everything
That was
that we
bombed,
tried, everything that we tried to build as a country within a country has been broken down. So what are the only thing we know now? Is how to spend money and work for others. And as long as you have that mentality,
Yeah.
that will be the 10th largest grossing country in the world. 10th.
Us
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah. Would.
So
It
that's why
definitely
on my podcast, when you was asking me about my podcast earlier,
Yeah.
I have an ongoing story that I started on my podcast, that I got a lot of followers behind me now,
Right.
and want to be a part of it. You know what it is?
What?
I'm going to the United Nations.
Dig it.
I'm going to go to the United Nations, and I'm going to lay down my case for African Americans in this country. For we don't want reparations. I want either Wyoming, his state, or Iowa. You're going to give us one of those countries, and we're going to ask everybody to leave. And we'll start our own country, and we're going to call it Stevieville.
Stevieville.
Dig it. My man. My man.
He'll talk Stevieville.
Yeah.
Stevieville.
And I'm putting up a wall around the whole country.
Yeah. Because Wyoming is already, it's still
Nobody
called
there
Yarborough.
anyway.
It's still called Yarborough.
Oh, it's a Yarborough
It's still
company.
called Yarborough. And what's the name of your podcast?
Yeah, talk about your fun.
Straight shooting with Stevie Ray.
Okay, straight shooting.
And that's
Now
one.
you
And I
had
have
one that's
another
an
one.
experience.
Huh?
You
That
have
Stevie
one.
Ray Experience is the radio show.
Okay, radio show. Okay.
And I have to do another podcast with a friend of mine, Vince Russo, and we call it Black and White. And we deal with a lot of the things that we're talking about right now from a white perspective and a black perspective as to what you don't know about me. Like I always tell him, I know everything about you. You too comfortable to know anything about me other than what you see on television.
Right.
And that's what the show is about, and everybody seems to love it.
Yeah.
He
absolutely.
does a lot of podcasts, and that's on his brand, and that's his #1 podcast now.
Really?
Yeah, because I don't pull any punches, and anybody can't take it. I don't know what to tell you, because that's what's wrong with us as a people.
It is.
Everybody's afraid of hurting somebody's feelings.
Right.
I believe in putting it out there, and if you can't take it, then what can I tell you? You're not comfortable, and if you're not comfortable, that means it's working.
Yeah. Well, we got to put something out there.
Yes.
We have to.
Yes,
we have
indeed.
to be. If COVID hasn't done anything for us,
Right.
if it hasn't spoken to us in any type of way, then it just won't speak.
No.
Because what it did was just, for me, it just shut down the world
Yeah.
Word.
and gave us the opportunity to say, you know what? Can you hear me now? Can you really hear whatever you were supposed? You were so busy doing so much stuff that you could not stop and see your family, or you couldn't stop, or wives were passing husbands and children and all kind of, just over and over, and they just could not see each other. The family was even, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nobody was, everybody was going their own way.
Yeah.
But now it just had to be where the family and people had to come together.
And now it's time for it to be over because everybody's starting to get tired of each other.
Well, you can say that again.
That is too funny. That is too funny. That's
You
too
can say
funny.
that. But I tell you what COVID did for me, it gave me an opportunity to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I would have had as much time, because I had so much time on my hands.
Right.
That's when I was like, okay, let me,
Right.
do something I've been planning on doing now. I
Right.
got no excuses anymore. Even though I was already planning on doing it, it just happened a little earlier than
Right.
what I thought. And I'm going to tell you something, man. I'm so glad I did it that it's, like I said, this is a field that I wanted to go into when I got out of high school. And even when I was wrestling, I became, I was the first African-American analyst in professional wrestling. And I was the first, I don't even like talking about this because I don't like to be the first African-American to do nothing. I'm like, damn, that's an accomplishment? I never knew nobody ever did it before.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, to write an article in a major professional wrestling magazine.
Check it.
The
Yeah.
first African American to do
Yeah.
that.
Stevie Ray.
Stevie
Yeah,
Ray.
and I'm like, somebody come to me and say, hey, we want you to do commentary. Okay.
Yeah.
Then I look in the Atlanta Journal and it's got a thing and somebody sent to me and go, oh, this real? I'm just doing what somebody told me to do. Somebody say, hey, man, we want you to write an article. You want to do it? Yeah, okay. We'll give you a subject and you write about it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I did that once a month in the magazine. And I didn't know anybody of African-American origin had never done that before. I didn't know. So I don't know if we should be proud about it or
We should be
sad. You know what I'm saying?
We should be proud about all our accomplishments.
Exactly.
Especially right now because we're talking about COVID.
But you see what I'm saying? though?
Yeah, absolutely,
I'm
absolutely.
Like, I didn't know nobody had never, talking about
Yeah,
it.
it's giving us time to reflect.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
giving us time to have a better perspective on things, to go within, you know, to find out about yourself in a few ways. Have I been going down the path that I was put here to go down, or am I going down the path that society wants me to go down? Okay, and personally, I've had to go through that, you know, over these last this past year, you know, with COVID and things of that nature. You know, I had to do a lot of self-reflection. And once again, as Stevie was saying too, saying things and doing things that might hurt somebody's feelings, but it's not done intentionally.
Right.
I'm doing me.
Yeah.
Okay, and usually I keep things in the perspective where I think things out before I just don't speak out, blab out, or act out, okay? But it's giving me a chance to look at self and to reevaluate what's my purpose here, you know, on this planet. And that's what COVID has done for me, more so than making me wash my hands when I come in, hygiene. I've always had good hygiene, I like to think, okay? So that's nothing new. It just escalated everything when it comes to that. But just give me time to reflect on, am I doing what I feel as if I need to be doing or what I was put here to do?
Sounds good. We'll take a break right now. We'll be right back with Stevie Ray and Ryan Yarborough.
We'll be right back to the Cam Hill Show after these messages.
During the season's best sales event, Ron Carter Cadillac delivers 0% APR for 72 months plus $2,500 bonus cash on all 2020 XT4, XT5, and XT6. Or drive 2020 XT4 Luxury Collection only $299 a month, 2020 XT5 Premium Luxury Collection just $369 a month, and first ever 2020 XT6 Premium Luxury Collection just $399 a month, all for 39-month lease with just $1 down.
RonCarterCadillac.com.
I'm Attorney Willie Powles. Allow me to express myself with you. If you've been hurt or injured in a car or truck accident, give me a call and we'll get it fixed today.
When it comes to protecting yourself and your partners, all the information out there can be overwhelming. Visit our website. We are a free and confidential service striving to help you stay informed and stay notified. We are committed to a healthy Houston.
Have you been injured in an 18-wheeler accident, truck accident, car accident? Was someone texting and ran into the back of you, not paying attention? It doesn't matter what it is. Give me a call, Attorney Willie Powles. We'll fix it today. The number is 281-881-2457. Again, that number is 281-881-2457. We'll fix it today. Call Attorney Willie Powles.
And now back to the Cam Hill Show.
Hey family, we are back with Stevie Ray and Ryan. We were just talking about just what COVID happened, how things happened, just about the podcast and everything. You had something to say, Mr. Ryan? You wanted to talk about something else?
Oh yeah. Well, once again,
Your book.
believe so you can achieve. Okay. Once again,
Yeah.
believe so you can achieve. You can get it at Yarborough16.com.
Okay.
That's YARB as in boy, RO in the number 16.
Okay.
.com. But once again,
And we'll post that.
Okay. Once again, it's a feel good
Yeah.
book. You know, it's a positive book, but it's also the main thing. It works on your mindset.
Right.
And once again, that's where everything starts at. You know,
Absolutely.
I've learned that over the years, and I've come to find out that that is the key. It doesn't matter if we're in Houston, other parts of the country, other parts of the world. What you believe is usually, you know, how you carry your life out.
Absolutely. This week is getting ready to be Christmas. Next week, end of the year, New Year's at this point of 2020. Just looking back at it, COVID was probably the beginning of March, really when they started shutting things down. okay, when the world was shut down. And now all of a sudden we're at the end of the year.
Right. 9 months. Baby's been born.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, at this point. And we look at that and we talk to people about going forward. Just going forward. Just moving in the direction of forward at this point. And not being in fear. Fear, false evidence,
Yeah.
it's not real. Appearing real,
Right.
right?
Appears real.
Right. It appears real, but it's not real. And many people are stifled in fear.
Yeah.
They really are. But what I love about the two of you all, you jumped. You jumped. Not knowing what it would be, even though your dad and your uncle had done it. But you went out to Wyoming 16 hours away. It's still going to take them 16 hours to get to you when you make that phone call, right? It's going to make you 16 hours.
Absolutely.
Either they drive or they fly 3.5, 4 hours, whatever the hours is to get there.
Yeah.
You still had to be to the point where you take care of yourself until they get there, right?
But that's why I only seen them once or twice during my college career.
Right.
Yeah.
But also being strong enough to do that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
When you're raised to be independent, that's how I was raised to be.
Exactly.
Right. But you took those morals with you.
Oh, without
You took
question.
all of that with you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they were parents.
Yes.
But that's being a parent.
Exactly.
Yes.
Parenting does not go just, by the way, I'm going to throw you money or whatever. It's parenting.
Yeah.
And you knew you could call. But you knew you could call home and say, hey, you know what? I'm having a problem. I need to come back.
Yes.
And I heard you say that about our community. We've got to get back to that. We've got to get that village back. We've got to get the people back.
I think everything starts with education.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking about formal education
Right.
because I think formal education has let us down as a community
Yeah.
from within.
Yeah.
Yes. But if we're not instilling real family values within our young people and children, what do you have?
Right.
It's hard to get back to something that somebody's never known. Because life doesn't go backwards. It always goes forward.
Right.
And that's where we find that the children, they want a family, so then they go out in the streets
Yeah.
and find their family.
Right.
They're wanting someone to care about them, to love them, and take care of them. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. It doesn't matter where it comes from.
Right.
Bottom line
word,
is
Exactly.
the love.
that
The
word,
love. Yes. Love.
Key word,
Yes.
love.
Love.
And if a person, it's easy to talk about it. Matter of fact, nowadays you see the word used in the most inverted way.
Right.
Like somebody say, they showed me love. That just means you just was cool with me.
Right.
But I grew up on the phrase, I love you.
Big.
To me, that's a big difference.
It is.
Big
It is.
difference.
Yeah.
To this day, me and my daughter tell each other, I love you whenever we talk.
Right.
Every day we talk, which is not every day. She's a grown woman now, but I didn't have that in my household. Not saying that my parents didn't love me, though.
Right. But it's something about the words.
Yes.
It's something about that words. A lot of people.
Now, I'm not saying,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, you heard the word love, but
Right.
not so much directly
Right.
at parent to child.
Right.
So, but I think that's a big difference. Makes a big difference when an individual knows you love them, but shows you love them
Right.
at the same time. Yes.
I agree with that. Especially our children, our young men, and
Yes.
as well as our young women.
Yeah.
And I think with young men, we're taught many times not to have emotion.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Not to have emotion.
Yeah.
We're also taught not to hug,
Right.
not to touch each other in some type of way. And that's so wrong.
True indeed.
That's so wrong. But yet you go in the streets,
Right.
they end up going in the streets for the love.
Right.
Yes.
for the love, you know. And I have a teenage son
Yes.
right now, and you know, just some of the things that you just touched on,
Right.
You know, about love.
Yes.
And one thing that not just him, but all my children, I tell them that all attention is not good attention.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to watch the attention that you're getting or that somebody is giving to you. Okay, because it's not necessarily always organic or holistic or anything like that.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like Stevie was saying, you know, it can be artificial.
Right.
You know, it can
Right.
very easily be artificial. Excuse me.
We've got to get back to the fact where our children are able to call us no matter what, with no judgment, without judgment. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
You know, without any judgment.
Without
We'll
question.
say, I need some help, or because suicide is on. I mean, man,
Yeah.
it really is on a high, especially because they're given so much. You know, your computers, your phones, your whatever. You know, cyber. You know,
Well, that's
cyberbullying or cyber,
that
you know,
can-
threatening and all kind of
And
stuff.
that's their love.
That's
Yes.
a positive. You know, this cyber world can be a positive and a negative all
Truly,
in one.
all in one.
Firstly, I mean, I don't know what it's like to sit in a house other than when COVID came.
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
I don't know all my years of existing on this
Right.
planet. I don't know nothing but activity.
But the children don't.
Right.
If you see
They can
where I'm
stay
coming
in there
from,
20, you know,
I don't-
18 hours, 16 hours, 15
like
hours.
it's nothing.
Yes.
In the dark room.
At a door,
I mean,
exactly.
I
If they got
remember
that phone,
when I was a kid, if it rained,
yeah.
Yeah.
we were mad
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
because I can't go play something
Right.
and get out of the house.
Oh, they're not going out.
But if you know what I'm saying, I mean,
Yeah.
I couldn't. We were like, man, how long? I can't believe it's raining today,
Right.
man.
Yeah.
We have to go play this other basketball team in the
Right.
neighborhood in the summertime. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Uh-huh.
We wanted to get
Absolutely.
these guys, man. You know,
Exactly.
and that competitive, I guess that might be where you come up around competitive people, you become a competitive person.
Right.
So people ask me this day, man, every time I call you, you're at the gym. Well, that's all I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ain't never been a home guy. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I mean, I'm like, if I ain't straining or something. Plus, that's why I think the most.
Right.
I think the most when I'm in the gym.
Yes,
People don't believe that
Yes.
Wow.
because it relaxes me. Even though you're working out,
Yeah.
it relaxes you and gets you ready for the battle. Because in my head, the battle's still going on.
Yeah.
If that's crazy, you know, you go through your walkthrough on Saturday.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
You know what I'm saying? You know,
Yes, sir.
you're getting ready for that battle on Sunday. Well, in my world, I'm still, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm still ready for the crowd and walk out and get in the ring. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. But in my head, that's the closest I can get to it.
Right.
If
right,
that makes
right.
sense. That's I can still get close. I can't do it no more.
Right.
But in my head, man, I'm still fighting. I'm
know
still
that.
in the ring, man.
I love that. Let's talk to the viewers. The last words, Mr. Ryan. Look into the camera and talk to your viewers.
Yes. First of all, thank you, Cam, for allowing me to be on here. And what I would like to get out to the viewers is remember to love yourself first, okay? In order for you to love others, you have to love yourself. And we've been touching on love at the end of this show. But if you see somebody out there that's hurting or going through something mentally or physically, it's okay to help them, all right? Because in essence, all you're doing is helping yourself. So all I want to do is touch on love because we need to continue to spread it throughout these trying times and going forward. So peace and love from Ryan Yarborough, and continue to believe so you can achieve.
Absolutely. Mr. Stevie Ray.
You know, I really don't know how to top that, man, because that's exactly what I believe in also. Because in this country, what we've seen this year is a lot of civil unrest. And why did we see a lot of civil unrest? Because we saw things that we never seen on live television before as it pertains to someone hurting someone else just out of the spite and the hatred within their hearts. But at the end of the day, we saw how nations came together to fight the corrupted mind of people that just got hate running within their hearts. Just like Ryan said, at the end of the day, a nation that comes together, talks to each other, sees each other's problems, and have empathy for their fellow man. That's love. And as long as we got love, we can't lose.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for both of them on today. I'm telling you, Mr. Stevie Ray, professional wrestler, and Mr. Ryan Yarborough, who is retired football player and author. Thank you so much for coming on. Tomorrow we'll have Phyllis Stigney, actress and comedian, 12:30 to 1:30 Central Standard Time. Bye.